effectively at Ataz if you had any interest, you all can kind of double back and go beyond there. It would have been Eku who would give you all the information about the actual avatar of Toa, and kind of learning that little bit more about his kind of like monkey status there. But in the long run, I think we were basically pushing forward to you all kind of making that trek, or rather continuing that trek um, down kind of the not coast, the shore of the River Orlung, uh, Olung rather, as you make your way towards Kir Sabal.
Yeah, I think unless Island has an interest examining the bridge more, um, I think for now, I think yeah, Jarek and Taryn had kind of decided to just like push on, but obviously Island, if you want to take a closer look.
No, no, that's okay. I made a sketch.
Yeah, that like little pop up that I did there, that's among the handouts for you all right now. If you want to take a closer look at it, you all have access to it. Um, the kind of like runes of Mezra, I threw that up for a second, but if you end up wanting any more info on that, I can kind of like drop the actual like individual pictures into Discord chat for you. But again, part of what that experience would have been like for you is very much the like early, was it 18th century archaeologists, back when it was like wealthy adventurers who dug stuff up and collected it, rather than like 19th century or 20th century, where we started to actually like catalog stuff and it was an academic pursuit. Mesro is definitely like the first, where this is getting rated by people who are taking everything, not people who actually care about it. But really, all you're finding is just desecrated runes in Mesro. But if we are ready to push on to the south, we can do a round of survivals back to Jerican Island. And let me have the three of you roll a d6 here. So as you all are moving away from Ataz Muha, as it's basically behind you to the north, you all are kind of making that way, and the last kind of cackles of laughter are echoing through this valley. And you're going to start to see um, a creature kind of flying through the air around you. And at first, it seems a little bit weird because it seems more like wings in the air than that you actually see anything. Before, let me get a perception from the three. Island, you very quickly recognize this thing as a flying snake, not unlike the snake that was given to you by the Zentarum. And this creature um, doesn't seem a threat, seems like it's passing by you all. What would you all like to do as you kind of recognize that this is a flying snake, a messaging type of creature of the Zents?
Yeah, I want to note what direction it's going.
You said you want to note what direction it's going?
Yeah, I mean, is it nearby, or is it something we can follow? Do we have a sense where it's headed, or is it just zipping by us?
At present, it is heading almost directly south, and it is um, effectively close enough that if you were to make a push for it, you could probably get your hands on it.
Any takers on that?
Might be helpful to know what sort of message it's carrying. We can catch up to it, or at the very least, see where it's maybe track it, see where it's going.
Let's try to catch it.
All right, so we're trying to catch something belonging to the Seds. Okay.
Let me have everybody roll a dexterity or a initiative. All right, Taryn, trying to catch this thing. What do you have in mind? What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. How far above is it? Or I
It's
guess,
not
yeah.
flying high at all. I mean, it's probably high for you, but let's say it's within arm's reach. Maybe a jump, in arm's reach.
All right, then. And it's sipping by. Then yeah. Maybe just basically try to bomb rush it. Take it by surprise.
Like, are you trying to attack it? Is that what you mean, or
Although
you gonna try to stab it?
not attack it. More like grab it.
Want to get your hands on it and grapple it?
Yeah.
Go for a grapple check. It's a strength athletics. I believe you should have a +2 on that. From your rings, at least.
Yep. And that should already be
That does
actually.
not include it, right?
No, that is included. I have set it up
All
so.
right, cool. So I myself rolled a 10. These things are not strong. They have a -3. You indeed have a snake in hand. Let's see. It's gonna go to Jarek. Taryn is able to grab this snake. It is writhing and trying to fight away from his grasp. What would you like to do, Jarek?
So while Terran's got a hand on it, I'm gonna try and check. Does it seem to be carrying anything like anything attached to it?
Roll a perception check. You don't see anything at present. It is going to try to bite you, Taryn. I believe a 13 is not a hit on Taryn. Yeah.
No, it is
So
not.
it's going to try to bite out at you, and you're able to kind of like moving your wrist just in the right way that you can kind of like keep its head at a distance, but you can tell this thing is 100% like angry to be held by you. Eileen, what would you like to do?
I want to say in Draconic, tell us your message. Give it up.
You say this, and there's no response from the creature or anything. What are you gonna do here, Taryn?
I'm thinking, can it's a flying snake. Grappling it. Can I just? I'm just gonna try to knock it out for now. So, just no weapons at all, just my fist.
Gotcha. I mean, you can do that with your fist, but realistically, any melee attack can always be non-fatal. So you can make an attack with your actual daggers, and just have it be non-fatal.
Oh, okay. So yeah, hold on. A dagger and
Yeah, as long as it's not a ranged attack, you can do non-fatal damage. A solid hit, no problem, and you can definitely knock it unconscious.
yeah. So it's not trying to bite me anymore. Should we search it? See if it has any pouches or anything?
Definitely. Maybe it doesn't
Do a
speak.
perception for me, Taryn. Looking over this creature, it does not seem to have any like hidden pouches, containers. For what it's worth, this is a wild flying snake.
Wow. Can we tame this flying snake, you think? Doesn't belong to the Zen?
I mean, I can't do it, and I'm pretty sure it already hates me. So
It does seem to hate you.
Let me get a history from Island. Trying to find the actual merchant prince. Feel like it is um Ifin Talroa. I think he is the merchant prince of kind of animals like this. Yep. Ivan Talroa is the merchant prince of beasts and kind of beast training. This is the type of thing, if you all keep this snake, this is something that you can viably sell back uh, in Port Nyanzaru. And Island, for what it's worth, can basically know it's probably worth about 25 or so gold pieces. I think they cost about 50 or 100 inside of Nyanzaru. So you know you have a pretty solid trade of getting 25 to 50 for something like this.
No, I'm going to tell everybody that. I do worry about Eku's opinion about us hanging on to it if it can't deliver messages for us. Anybody have an opinion?
I'm just curious about the logistic of it all. How would we travel with basically a wild animal? I mean, we don't have any cages. Like, we could tie a rope to it like a leash, but I'm pretty sure it's just gonna try to attack us.
The snake in a bag. Yeah.
If you all have like a spare container, you can put it into a container, which could be just like dedicating a bag to it. It could be. Do you all have anything in the scroll container right now? There's a few different options like that, but otherwise, there's like associated animal handling checks. Each time this thing would basically come back to consciousness, that you would have to open said bag.
I guess we could, if we distributed the stuff from one of the packs we had found, we could put it in that.
Yeah, that's definitely a solution. That's the type of thing, like, I think you all had vaguely kept everything, but you didn't necessarily need everything. And that's another thing where if you make a pack extra, you can easily basically keep this snake in one of the packs, but not necessarily have all of the like problems of said pack.
And if we can, maybe we can just like leave some food in the pack to, um, not sedate it, but to kind of keep it, placated until like a relatively, until we, less likely to try and bite at us until we can get back to port. I mean, becomes too much trouble. We, you know, do something then, but um, for now, that might be the best solution.
I feel like it might be a good distraction at some point to let it loose. But I like the pack idea. Am I the animal handler among us? I guess maybe that's me.
Oh, do you have animal handling?
No, I don't have a proficiency. I have like a decent
Gotcha.
+4.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking at everybody's things and I don't see a single one of you who chose it. In a land of like the most wild beasts that you could ever come across, nobody decided to go for animal handling. Darcy wants to collect a dinosaur and does not have animal handling. But yeah, that's just like the first little bit of your day kind of pushing away. But you guys have collected this thing. Other than that, you're going to have a pretty solid day's progress ahead of you. While you all are moving through the jungle here, or rather, like through the actual coast of this river along the banks, you can do about 10 miles any given day, or you can do about 15 miles if you all push at a high rate of speed. What kind of thoughts do you all have as you would like to progress forward down the River Orlung? I think it is kind of like 6 days high speed, 9 days just kind of going at a normal pace, or you're looking at 18 days at a slower pace.
Well, I mean, I guess if hopefully we can get a bit of you know resting in if we once we hit the monastery. So maybe we if we want to try and take a quicker pace for now till we get there.
Is there some choice about doing a ritual and flying to the monastery?
I think once we get there, Nafir said that he may be able to arrange for the ritual to be done.
Got it. So I didn't catch how many days. It sounded like, I think, did you say 15 days?
High speed is six. It's about 90 miles more that you guys have from Atazmua. It's about 6 days at a high speed, 9 days at a kind of typical speed, and 18 days at a like slow and or stealthy speed.
Yeah, I vote for normal speed at least. And we could go faster. I don't see any reason why we should have to go slow. Well, more than the usual reasons of everything in this jungle trying to kill us, but
Yeah, normal speed sounds fine to me.
Yeah, that's good with me.
right.
Gotcha. So you all can push forward with the rest of your day here, as you are kind of meandering down this coastline. There's different points where there certainly are like storms that pick up. There are points where it's an actual like nice calm day, and more or less everything is going to go pretty seamless with this first day of travel. Did you go to say something there, Chris?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, did we figure out who was carrying the snake? Or I don't remember if we said anything. Just remember Aelin not wanting it, but
I
Well,
think
I can
overall, my bad. Go ahead, Derek.
I can carry it. I mean, besides feeding it, we can always, if it starts getting restless, we can try and kind of knock it out while it's in the sack, right?
I mean, not to be like that, but that seems needlessly cruel too. To just keep this snake in the sack and acts up as a wild animal does, and we just knock it out again.
Yeah, I mean but those packs are fairly sturdy, so hopefully it shouldn't, cause too much trouble if we keep it in there. Might just have to give it some. I assume their snake's probably a carnivore, so might have to feed it some meat if we come across any. Maybe keep some eye out for some game ourselves as well.
So, in the long run, as long as it's in the actual bag, you all don't really have a whole lot to kind of deal with from it. It is going to wake up after an hour, and you'll have like some time where it seems kind of like aggressive and it's trying to like move around, but it pretty quickly actually calms down inside of the backpack itself. and you'll find that there's, on some level, it's pretty homely in like that darkness and effectively like not being assaulted. This thing doesn't seem overly hostile. There is a certain level, though, of you all still have to be caution when you go to open it. As far as things go, I know Island at least expressed a little bit of it. Eku doesn't find anything wrong with you capturing this creature. When Jarek talks about knocking it out constantly, that's where Eku would probably step in with what Taryn said, where it's like, yeah, that's pretty cruel. Um, but I think overall you all will find pretty quickly that um, feeding this thing is probably going to be your biggest hurdle, because that's when you're going to be opening the bag. But inside of the bag, it doesn't seem to be fighting anything.
Maybe depending on how long we're carrying this thing, maybe eventually we can sort of not train it, but get it used to knowing when, maybe have some sort of sign or word or something for feeding time so that it knows when it's being fed. Maybe that way it'll be a little less aggressive. But no, but Taryn, I see your point. I'll leave it alone unless it tries to take a chunk out of me.
So again, like as your day progresses, you all will get pretty close to where you'll start to see the first signs of night falling. And let me get a round of perception checks here from you. Taryn, you are going to notice that just off from the actual like riverbanks here, on the opposite side of the river, like assuming you guys, I guess it would be the side of the river that you are on. I never really thought about which side that you're crossing on, but having come from Mesro, until you guys necessarily decide to cross the river, I have to kind of assume you're on like that northern western bank of the river, although Kir Sabal is on the south or eastern side of the river. So at some point you'll have to cross. Moving along now, assuming you're still on that northwestern side, there is going to be a creature well up ahead of you all. At present, Terran is the only one who notices this thing. Doesn't mean the rest of the group can't notice before it notices you, but there is a gigantic brontosaurus feeding on the tree line. Seems like it's inside of the actual forest, inside of the rainforest. But you all are approaching where it's going to be close. Do you have any thoughts as to what you all will do as you have this kind of like dusk time encounter with a humongous dinosaur?
Stern is the first to spot it. We just pointed it out. But guys, there's a giant dinosaur further down. Just thought you should know.
Yeah, how
So
giant is
assuming
it? Like
Yeah, go
how
for it, Lat.
giant? Like stories and stories tall? I didn't catch how tall it was.
They are gargantuan. I believe the last time we looked up how big a brontosaurus is, they're like 40 something feet tall.
I remember that. Yeah, there were 300 and then there were 50 or something. Yeah, got it. So it's something like that. Sorry. Uh,
It's the type of creature that it is not going to even recognize you all as anything, that you could just as easily get stepped on and killed as it walks by and doesn't do anything to you. 72 feet long. They are. I don't even get a height with this. They're only 17 tons, so it's only like, what is that, 3,400 pounds?
34,000
Um,
pounds.
34,000 pounds. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty light. It's not like it's a big creature at all.
Jarek's going to suggest, be maybe keep an eye on it in case it gets, maybe not get too close, trying to hopefully not spook it, but kind of keep it in within sight so that if it does get spooked, we can hopefully have enough time to get out of the way. That or try and just kind of move past it, give it a bit of a wide berth and kind of try and keep going.
Let me get animal handling from you, Jack. Um, I feel like that's going to be enough for you to recognize that this creature could sit here and eat for the rest of the night. It might finish eating at any given time and go, but the wide berth might be the best way for you all to progress forward. Otherwise, you could basically kind of like keep an eye on it, but certainly kind of enjoy taking a break with this thing as almost like an alarm system of, if you stay close to it, it is dangerous to you because it won't recognize you. But it also is the type of thing that it's not going to stay somewhere where um, hostile creatures are a danger to it.
Yeah, so Jarek would kind of, you know, explain that to the others and ask their opinions. But given how big it is, it's possible that something that would be a threat to us, it might not alarm it, but if something real dangerous comes by, if we keep an eye on that thing, it can uh, probably let us know, or we'd be able to see it. Senses or might be better than ours are here in the jungle. Or alternative is to just kind of again just try and give it a bit of a wide berth and keep on going for now. Hard to say how long it'll be here. Could be eating for days.
And I think the true wide berth would be like this could be the time that you guys take the moment to cross the river as well.
And is this river similar to like Soshin Star, where it's fairly uh, still or calm, at least in terms of like rapids?
Yeah, so the weird thing about how they describe these rivers is they are pretty calm rivers. The big thing that I did not actually pick up on when we were actually doing the Ocean Star part of this is it doesn't mean that they don't have waterfalls and times where you are portaging. So it seems like they kind of describe this continent far more as occurring in plateaus, and I feel like that's kind of the big thing. They are very calm next to no actual flow, but when there is like something, it tends to be a waterfall of like 40 to 100 feet or so. And you're kind of like portaging around that. And that's how they kind of describe the rivers. I feel like they're getting at the idea that this continent is like large steppes. And I don't see that there's any reason that Orlung would be any different. Um, there's nothing in particular that it tells me when these steps exist. Um, but the big description that I've always gotten from reading about these rivers is that they seem to be very slow flow rates.
Okay, so like aside from what might be waiting for us in the water, it shouldn't be too much of an issue to ford it in any like particular place. Like the risk of
The the weird thing that I would actually say there is I think it actually is the opposite of that. The slow flow rate tends to mean that it's a very deep river. Um, and I feel like that in some ways increases a bit of the danger, because they are swims, but they are not high speed, um, and narrow rivers. Like there's a river in England, it's like the most deadly river in the world, and it's like super narrow going through like a rock canyon, but it's like hundreds of feet deep, and it's just notorious for killing people who fall into it. Um, I can't think of it offhand, but it's pretty wild, like reading into like how dangerous rivers are. But I would say this is one of those things where the danger in crossing the river is going to be kind of this level of you want to shed as much of your actual weight that is attached to you and basically make the fording swimming process as quick as possible. Um, but overall, yeah, you're definitely on point that the real biggest danger is you guys know that there's giant crocodiles, swarms of fish that are meat eaters. There's stuff that is inside of the water that is probably the biggest threat.
Right, right. What do you guys think?
I think it's wise at least to give a wide berth to the giant dinosaur, because even if it's not hostile to us directly, I mean, it just has to take a wrong step. We have pancakes on the ground, so I think it's a good call to get on the other side of the river too.
All right. I'm with you guys. Island says nervously.
So, what kind of thought do you all have as to how you will cross the river?
Is the river wider than like 50 feet?
I would say it's probably within that like general width at kind of any given time. I'd say you're probably looking at approximately like, oh man, even if you put it into combat distances, it's like 12 seconds if it's like 30 to 60 feet. What is it? 30 feet is 12 seconds. I would say, I mean, I was gonna say I don't think it's gonna be a swim that even takes you like a half a minute, but a half a minute without a swim speed puts you at, is that 5 times 15? I mean, that's 75 feet. That's already massive distance, and that's without even like dashing kind of swimming. Um, but I would say, yeah, you're looking at probably like say 40 to 50 foot wide.
Okay, because I guess kind of what I'm thinking is rather than swimming with our packs on, if we can, essentially tie them off with the rope and swim across with the rope, and then once we hit the other side, kind of use the rope to drag the packs through, so we have a little bit more mobility in the water and can hopefully get through a little quicker. That, or if we try to, if we can try to like I don't know if we still have like fresh meat at all, or if we can like find some game and something so that we have something to kind of like throw like if we like start spotting signs of those like fish that we can kind of try to distract or something, but or we just try and essentially just get across as quick as we can and hope for the best.
Let me get a perception check from you, Derek. And then couple that with a persuasion, please. 3 20s out of 4, pretty impressive. So kind of like looking off, you see a couple of trees that are close enough, and kind of like show off this area to you. On some level, it's going to take two ropes tied together to be at their best to accomplish this, to get like each distance. But I feel like overall with the group, you all probably have a solid amount of ropes. How many ropes do you all have between you?
Were there weren't ropes with the packs, right?
I
Those
feel
four.
like part of those kits is that they are like starting equipment kits. So I'm pretty sure each of those kits included a rope.
Okay. So in that case, we.
Because it was the Explorer kit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, because I think you said like the rations and the torches were less than the normal starting. Like we found a total of 18 of each. But other than that, I guess everything else that's included in there was so yeah, so that would be rope.
Yep, I
Ropes.
did reduce the actual like consumables from it. But yeah, the Explorer packs have 50 feet of hempen rope. So how many of those were there? Four?
4 packs, yeah.
I
And
don't
then
know if any of you chose a pack that doesn't come with rope. But predominantly, what is it? The Diplomats pack doesn't. The Entertainers pack doesn't. And
I
the
think the
Priests pack.
burglars.
Scholars pack doesn't. Okay, so four of the packs don't. I've literally never chose a pack that doesn't include rope, so it always feels weird to me. It's the Explorers pack, the Dungeoneers, and the Burglars pack that have rope. Does Island have rope?
Yeah.
Does Terran have rope?
Yep.
And then Jarek, do you have rope?
Yep. So I guess we got
All right, so you all
350
should
feet.
have, yeah, you should have at least 7 lengths of rope. When you talk about like tying the rope across the trees, Krook will kind of step forward and offer to swim across and tie two or like a couple of these lengths of rope, and you guys can try to create a rope bridge across, basically with 3 ropes um tied across the actual river. So you've got like 2 for your arms and 1 to walk on. Um, but what I want you all to do is roll a d4, each of you, please. Alrighty, so Krook is going to swim across with the first length of rope, and gets across with little problems at all. Kind of like swimming a little bit downstream. You can see like a little bit of the actual flow rate, and basically kind of like will look back across and call to you all, um, to basically like tie the next 2 lengths of rope to like that point that is closest to you on the one that she has, so she can basically draw all 3 across, and then she'll kind of mount those to the tree that Jarek has kind of like already pointed out, as that tree that you all can cross on. Krook is going to basically mount one low on the tree, and then the other 2 kind of like higher up on the tree. Vaguely so, like somebody like Taryn is going to have kind of like arms up above your kind of shoulders. And then so somebody like Island or Jarek is going to cross with their hands, maybe like a little bit below your shoulders. But approximately it gives you like that little bit of a distance, and lets you all have that triangular position to walk across, and Krook will basically have you all do the same on the other tree that Jarek spotted on your side, and everybody can do a acrobatics to try to cross this river.
Ouch.
So do a dexterity save for me, Island.
Oh, sorry. Well, I guess it's the same, right? Saving throw you wanted, right? Still +2. So.
No. The initial was definitely meant to be an acrobatics. Island, you are going to kind of flounder and eventually find yourself falling in, as you kind of just like extend yourself out. sprawling yourself, and then big ol' splash. Roll a d4. All right, so Island, as you splash down into the river, everybody's going to hear this and see this. Let me get initiatives from everybody here. All right, so the initial happening is going to be a pretty kind of like typical moment where Jarek, you're going to kind of notice from behind, where you kind of like spot this happening. I guess for what it's worth, you do have the sword kind of mentioning to you. I guess you'd probably hear like a voice on the level of "Your friend's in danger." And you'll kind of like turn around to actually see him falling in before it actually happens. So you see this kind of like almost like slapstick comedy moment where his arms kind of wobble, and then all of a sudden you see as he like extends his legs and his arms out, and he's like planked out over this river, and then all of a sudden just splashes down into the water. You will then have your reaction. Island, you are going to have this happen where you fall into this water, and you will then have your reaction. Taryn, you will be able to turn around and watch pretty much the last moment where Island disappears. And then, Island, you are going to feel as something wraps around you, and you start to lose your breath, and you feel as it clenches you tighter and tighter. I need you to roll a. Oh, nope, it's not even a contested. Um, yep, and that's going to be successful. With a 25 is going to wrap around you. You are going to take 14 points of bludgeoning damage. You will be grappled and restrained underneath the water. And it's going to go to Jarek. As moments later, you're going to understand that the sword had a little bit more in mind than simply the danger of falling in, as the island does not come up from underwater.
Okay, so at this point, Jarek's already crossed, right? So he's on the shore.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think Island rolled the last as is. Yeah, so I gotta say Jarek crossed first, Taryn crossed second, and then Island went last. For what it's worth, I should have asked you all an actual like marching order on that one. But just like the way you guys rolled it there, I'm just gonna take them in that order.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so Jarek is going to looking back, seeing kind of or not seeing Island, gonna kind of try to shrug off his pack again, so he's got a little bit more mobility. He's going to shout to Taryn, "Island's in trouble," and he's going to dive into the water and start swimming back towards where he last saw Island.
So I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to cover that distance in a single move. Basically, move and dash. We'll call it that kind of 30 feet width for what it is worth here. Um,
And I
you
guess
can make a perception at disadvantage, and that way, if you want to burn um, your extra attack thing. I can't think of it what it is offhand, but perhaps you can be able to assist Island if you see this thing. But
probably
I'm
not.
gonna say with that, yeah, this is like thick, dirty jungle water, and from what you can like gauge in this area, like Island kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, so I think as I like not seeing, I'm just gonna like shout, "Where is it? Where is it?" Kind of like back towards Taryn, and just kind of be looking for it for now, or looking for Island or whatever's grabbed him, but not really able to see it yet. So that's I think that's gonna be my turn. Right, because it was a dash to get there, right?
Yeah. Movement wise, I think I have to take it as the dash like that. So I think we then have Island on initiative. You are restrained by this creature. You are grappled and restrained. that basically gives you the option of you can try to break the grapple at disadvantage, or you can try to attack the creature at disadvantage. But right now, you basically feel something wrapped around you, and it is crushing you.
So I want to cast inflict wounds because it's touching me. Like I think I'm touching it. I don't have any strength, so that's what I want to do. Can I do that when I'm restrained?
If I I've never actually thought about underwater combat. Verbal, somatic. I will treat with this in the future that it might change. But for now, you can make that spell attack. It's at disadvantage because you're restrained. I feel like on some level in the future, if you don't have something that gives you the ability to breathe underwater, I don't think you can actually like speak underwater, which would prevent you from casting this normally. But again, I wasn't really prepared for that thought, so.
Yeah, I think like I've spoken underwater. You know, doesn't go far. I'm
Well, I
fine.
think the point is though is like you can make sounds, but that's not necessarily speaking words of power that is casting a spell.
Got it. All right. Well, we're gonna give it a try though this time, and we'll see for the future.
Yep. I have a
All right.
feeling it will never happen again in the future because I will actually look up combat underwater.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know either. That's new to me. All right. So I was gonna cast it, and you need me to. I don't know what I'm gonna roll, but
Yeah, it's got a spell attack, so yeah, as you kind of like basically invoke these words of power and reach out for the creature, you are able to grasp it, and there is. I don't even know what you would see with that one. I feel like almost kind of this like I think you would probably see just like the like fog of blood as it kind of like spurts out into the water um and kind of like just passes between and yeah, that will take us to Taryn. What would you like to do?
Oh, I would like to follow Yarek's lead and just shrug off my backpack and jump into the water. Try to find a. Let's see.
So you have the different option of, as far as bonus actions goes, you can dash as your bonus action. So you can cross the distance to where you expect Island to be and roll a perception check, and then potentially have your action to try to do something.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use my bonus action to swim dash. Let's see, perception check.
Let's see. I think going off this initial part, it's gonna still be just a little bit beyond your ability to like spot where this is happening, but you're a little bit closer. You can take disadvantage on an attack. I guess I could have offered that to Jarek to make a blind attack and have it at disadvantage too. So if that's appealing to you, Jarek, would you action surge if you are making a blind attack?
Oh, sorry. I thought it was Taryn's turn.
No, it is, but the way I'm thinking about this is I don't think a 9 spots what's happening, but it recalls to me that he is effectively blind. It doesn't mean he can't attack. And I'm kind of offering you the same idea. Would you action surge if you were blind in making the attack?
Uh, I'm gonna give it one more round to see if I can spot it.
Gotcha.
Have an idea to for Island too.
So, Taryn, you can't actually see where this is happening, but you do have the vague idea of what is happening. If you would like to make some sort of attack, you can blindly attack, which is essentially at disadvantage.
All right, I am gonna try to just blindly swing at. See if I hit anything.
Yeah, and kind of just slashing out, just like reaching out into the water. You don't feel any resistance beyond just the actual water's drag. And it's gonna go back to the creature as this time Island is going to feel as a jaw starts to grip down around him. And 18 hits your AC. Yeah. 18 is going to grasp down, and it is going to deal 15 points of piercing damage as you feel two sharp points jut into your shoulder. And then it will go back to Jarek.
All right, so Jarek's gonna be like shouting, you know, Island, if you can hear me, light up the water. Hang on, hang on. He's gonna bonus action rally. Or no, wait, he might have to see.
You can do a perception check, free action here.
Oh, if a creature who can see or hear me. I guess it'd be
He
whether
is
Island.
technically still restrained underwater. So he. Oh, shit, reminds me. I get to fish for crits. He is still technically restrained underwater, so he can't really hear or see you.
Okay. So I still be shouting that, but then won't use the rally bonus action. I'll because I guess I wouldn't know whether he can hear me. Would it be my action to try to spot this thing?
Free action at this point.
Okay.
With that, you are able to spot basically where you see there is this creature, probably about like 5 or 8 inch diameter, like wrapped around Island's body about like 5 or 8 times, and Island is just sinking further and further into the water.
Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna bringing out the kukri form of my blade. I'm gonna, thinking that stabbing at it might go through and hit Island. I'm gonna slash at this thing. I spot it.
Alrighty.
And I think assuming that's not enough to kill it,
Yeah, I think I was actually trying to think of the actual action economy of grabbing your weapon out. Um
yeah, because I wouldn't have had it
I feel
out
like
when I
you would
dove
have had enough to
underwater.
draw it last turn. Um so I don't think you have to like pull it out. You would have had to essentially like already know it was the kukri. But I don't think that really matters. Both of those hits, both of those are hits. So you can do another 12 damage to this thing. It is still.
Oh, actually, does is Island considered incapacitated?
Not incapacitated. He is restrained.
Okay, so I think in that case I would get sneak attack on the first one.
Uh, I think you guys are still making attacks here at disadvantage in the water.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, never mind.
I don't think you guys can actually get away from that. Because it's anything that doesn't have a swimming speed has disadvantage on all attack rolls. Um,
Gotcha. But I am gonna action surge and slash at it twice more.
gotcha. And both of those will hit as well for another 11.
And hoping to distract it, I'm gonna make that last strike a distracting strike. Try to maybe get it to stop, maybe turn its attention towards one of us.
Roll the actual die for that. 8. And what does the actual distracting die do? Does it have to even take a wisdom save, or what is it?
No, so the next attack roll against the target by someone other than me has advantage. So I guess it would essentially turn it into a straight roll for uh, the next attack against it before the start of my next turn.
Gotcha. Does that exclusively say not you?
Yes, other than me.
Gotcha. So after Jarek will take it to Island.
I'm gonna do that same thing again with my failing breath. Inflict wounds.
So you will be able to apply this necrotic damage to it, and as you split into the flesh of this creature, you're going to feel as the binds around you are going to release, and you are free, which allows you to expend your movement climbing back up towards the surface.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. Like I'll come up screaming and spitting water and flailing, I'm sure. Can I get to the shore or can I just get to the air?
For what it's worth, without having actually paid attention to how deep it took you, I'd say this turn you're still going to be underwater. And you can basically try to go further than that in the future here. But for what it is worth at present, let me have all three of you roll a d8 here. And then everybody roll a wisdom check. I should have said survival too, so um what's the difference on your survival bonus for Jarek and Island? Is it just +3 more?
Actually, for me, I've got proficiency, so it's +6. I think I took that
Wait.
as a
Oh, you've got the expertise,
Yeah.
not proficiency. It's
Oh,
expertise if you've got +6.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um.
I've got +3 more than what I rolled there.
Yeah, I didn't have that
+5.
as a high DC. So, Taryn, I think you're just gonna find you start swimming in the wrong direction at first, before noticing that the other two are going in the other direction, and basically swimming to the other side. For what it's worth, as a quick little one of the rogue variety, you can kind of bonus action to just swim a little bit faster than everybody else. But you all can accomplish the crossing for what it is worth without. Well, I didn't actually think about this. I know there's incredibly creative knots that you can tie that can have like drop releases to them. And we're gonna say that you guys use that seventh rope to maybe tie like a stick in as like a linchpin so you can recover all of your ropes here.
I was thinking who went across before to bring the rope across?
Crook.
I was thinking maybe Crew could go.
Part of why I put that behind a persuasion, though, is Krook was well aware that it's dangerous to be swimming across this river.
Well, thanks for bailing me out of the river. Whew. Does that thing float to the surface? Can we eat it?
Make another wisdom check for me, Island.
Like
Put
as
this
if that was
DC at 12 for you.
as if that was a wise idea. Is that?
I'm gonna say you did not put any effort into swimming this thing up towards the surface. Um, and I don't really think there's any reason for a snake to just float up, but I don't know about buoyancy in a snake to really know. But I feel like if it was trying to sink you down towards the ground, towards the like bottom of this river, that it probably had negative buoyancy at the time of its death. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna say no on that one.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm thinking with all that blood, that might attract some other stuff. So we want to get to shore as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm definitely with that idea. 'Cause I don't want to see any piranhas or giant crocodiles. Try to see if there's any dinner for them.
Yeah, that question was asked as if we were already standing on shore. I didn't realize we were still swimming.
I guess I meant like I don't want to go diving back into the water after it if the idea is to go get it.
No, I just wanted to eat it. I'm pretty beat up from that.
Yeah, that was definitely purely looking at the idea of do you think to grab it versus were you thinking like oxygen? Um, because again, like I was saying, I don't think it would have had any buoyancy to it.
Does anybody else need to be healed? We can sit down and do a prayer healing. We have 10 minutes on the side of the river.
I think everybody is fresh, and you are definitely in the bloodied condition.
Yeah, I can take a bit of time and kind of like tend to kind of like pounding some of the water out and kind of dealing with like the bite mark from where it's like jaws clamped down, and I can essentially I'll use my healer's kit on Island.
Thanks.
And heal you up for 15.
Awesome. Thank you. I think I'll just cast a cure wounds to finish up. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thought I was more dexterous than that. But
Well, at least we've made it. Hopefully, don't have to cross the river again anytime soon.
Yeah, and hopefully if we do, we have some other means of getting over, like canoes or anything.
Yeah, perhaps if we when we go to make camp tonight, maybe if there's any we think about fashioning some kind of raft or something if we have to cross it again. But I don't know. You
Well,
think we should? Oh, go ahead, Alan.
no, it's just we're headed to the We're headed to the monastery, right? I feel like it's still
Yeah, like
midday.
at present, that puts you all on the correct side of the river at this point.
And I think it was kind of nearing evening, right, as when we spotted the brontosaurus and crossed.
Yeah, by now you all would be beyond dusk and into the like darkness of night. I think we all have. I think it's the 23rd of Kithorn, so you would have a waning moon. So there is still like a little bit of light along the actual river banks. But for what it is worth at present, you all kind of have that decision ahead of you of setting down for a night's rest.
Yeah, I think maybe we want to put a little distance between us and the river. Seems like animals might come there to drink at night. So maybe if we move off, I guess east a bit, not too far, but before we camp down.
Do you have in mind something like 50 feet into the forest? Do you want to go just beyond sight into the forest? What do you have in mind for how far you want to put between yourselves? Like a mile?
No, probably not. No, not so much as a mile. Maybe like yeah, like 100 feet.
Gotcha. So that's probably like close off the ability to see the actual river and then like a little bit more. Does that sound
Yeah,
good
like
for the other?
not so far that hopefully there's not any risk of us like losing it or getting like
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, like you guys are head west and you're going to find the river. In the long run, one, I basically have treated it with the guides that you can't really get lost. Things can happen when you get lost, like when you are doing poorly with survival checks, much more than that there's like severely getting lost kind of things where you could lose track of basically head west and you're going to hit the River Olung.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Gotcha. So you guys can take a few moments to move your way inside and prepare to actually set up camp here. And with any thoughts in mind as to how you would like to um, basically keep watch through the evening, we can move into the actual nighttime.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going first watch.
I can take the second, give Island a little more time to recover himself. I might suggest maybe we keep some light about just to while we're on watch. Got plenty of torches now, so
Like, do you want to keep torches lit, like keep some sort of light, or do you actually want to have like a fire?
I would recommend we start a fire at least. It's lighting torches. I don't know how long does a torch last. It's like an hour, right?
Yeah, torches an hour.
yeah, I guess yeah. If we're gonna have light, it makes more sense to just make a fire. Yeah. I do have that 2-person tent now, so a couple people can use that. Whoever's not on watch. Or,
I feel like you guys have like 4 or 5 tents now.
Yeah, there's some in the loot list. that we have tents.
Okay, I just have the one that we got from the camp, the abandoned camp we found.
Yeah,
Um,
especially the tents in the loot list. Those should be on people because those have substantial weight to them. That's part of why that loot list should not be a place for storing stuff because that weight needs to be attributed to somebody. But yeah, you guys, most nights should be underneath tents, otherwise you're going to always be soaking wet and get swamp foot.
I had to dump mine because I'm so weak. I dumped my tent a while ago. So
And I
it's
think,
Jarek.
sorry, I just remembered. I think the reason they were on the loot list first was because the tents were stored like in the canoes.
Yeah, that's the
when they
other
were
thing on
traveling.
the list is the canoes. Where are the
Yeah.
canoes?
Canoes are gone though. You all sold
Yes.
those to the to camp, to the Order of the Gauntlet.
So we have 1-2-person tent, Jarek. Thank you. Because I don't
Yeah,
have.
unfortunately, I mean, I could take if we had kept one of the others, but I'd be encumbered at that point.
Yeah, that's why I had to drop mine.
I mean, I could get rid of
Go ahead. You could get rid of what?
I could get rid of an extra bedroll that we got from from one of the packs, and but if I guess the idea is we don't have those tents anymore, then we just have the one.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are that close to encumbered with most of you, I would say it probably does make sense that you do not have those tents on you. Um, that's
I
part
mean,
of why I feel like it's so important to keep track of.
I think Terran could have at least carried one tent. He's not very close to. Wait,
It seems like kind of lame for me on my D&D Beyond sheet is it only shows what I'm carrying. It only shows part of what I'm carrying for weight at the top. You know, like when it gives you your weight encumbrance thing. It
If
doesn't add
you
all the
click,
stuff up.
like if you have stuff in like a backpack, if you have
Yeah.
to click that little thing next to it so that it's red, and then it adds the weight.
Okay.
Yeah, like with your backpack, you can basically unequip the backpack and it will not add that weight to you. Yeah, so like Rin is walking around basically pretending that she's not carrying her backpacks. And that's reducing her weight by a lot. And Darren has 87. I think Darren could probably take a tent. How many tents is it? It's 3 were on the loot list.
Yeah, maybe 4. I don't remember. I looked at it quick just when I got on today.
let's see. Yeah, there's 4 tents on the loot list. So, I mean, if Terran and I, Darren and I also had one,
We have 3
then we
tents
could,
among us.
yeah, and then we had
Yeah.
to skip one tent basically.
Yeah, I'm too wimpy to carry a tent. I'm actually over. So that's I got this mace. I'm over. I gotta fix it.
Yeah, like the backpack stuff on D&D Beyond is huge. Like it's helpful if like if we have to like try and cross something that's rickety and we want to like drop our pack and that get a quick idea of like what the weight is. But
And one of the other things that I think it goes, you can forget about is like if you go into a dungeon where you expect to walk back out through that same place, drop your backpacks. Most of the time that you are adventuring, if you're not traveling, you probably don't carry that backpack with you. And that's one of the things I try to stress for people is like often that backpack is stuff that you want for exploration. But like if you're staying inside of like Phandalin for the week, you can leave your backpack back at the inn and you're not traveling around with all of that weight. I think that's one of those big things to kind of keep in mind is that you're not necessarily always moving around with all of this stuff. Um, but I can put 2 tents on the siblings, and Rin and Darren can each carry a tent. So I think if Taryn said he was taking one of them, I think that gives you all at least like a total of 4 tents. I think realistically, I could actually put 2 tents on Darren. Yeah, Darren can carry 2 of them. I think that gives you all plenty of reason to have access to all of them. Um, I do think once the group gets back together, it would be good for you all to sort some of that stuff out. But that's also a really great reason to um, have like some chat like in between the week as well that actually like talks about like what you might be doing, because I think I also added an extra backpack to Island last week. I think you probably have one of those explorers backpacks already on you. I don't know if you look at your character Island, do you see that you have 2 backpacks right now?
Nope. Just have one.
I already closed down the siblings, but I feel like I added them last week so everybody had a couple of them, but in the long run, that's kind of the type of stuff like I don't necessarily want to deal with it in a session, but I do think it's an important aspect, especially for a campaign like this that is meant to be exploration.
Yeah, you probably didn't give me one because I didn't have any capacity. But
That definitely might have been it.
my strength is like 8. So, but
Well,
I'm,
we can do it over.
I'm all set. I fixed myself up. I just had too many rations for the mace.
Well, and that was part of why I was saying that was part of why with the actual kits, I was saying um the rations and the torches are the least important part of those because Island can make light when you all need it. Taryn can make light for him. That's what your knives are meant to be, is like so you can kind of sneak around. But you guys have light sources to kind of like get by without carrying the weight because torches are heavy. If you guys have a total of 60 torches between you all right now, that's 60 pounds in torches. They are heavy to carry around. And food, as long as you guys have Eku, she can create food still. It tastes terrible, but
Yeah, maybe like on Discord or something during the week, kind of just like list out or put kind of some of the stuff we have in our inventory and maybe like either redistribute it or decide what we're kind of going to leave behind with the idea that this is something we would do kind of one night while we're camping.
yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yep.
I loaded myself up on healer's kits when we were in town. And then we got the mace, and I never fixed it. So I'm like maxed, but happy to redistribute. You guys like don't want me to carry a rope. I can carry something else until I do. I have 1.5 pounds of capacity though. If anybody wants to give me something to carry.
Island has a big meal and then it gets encumbered.
Totally. That totally seems to be the case.
So before we actually jump into the night, let's take a break here. To restrooms and kind of come back. Once all 4 of us are back, we will jump back in. If we need the full time, though, let's take like a full 15. But effectively, once everybody's back, we'll jump back into things.
Sure, sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay.
So we are picking back up at the watch. I don't remember who you all had decided who was going to take the first watch.
Taryn was going to take the first watch.
Gotcha. Let me get a roll from you. Perception check, please. Gotcha. And you all said that you were going to do torches, so you have like firelight, or are you gonna go by like the light of your rings?
Oh, I thought we decided we were going to do like a real campfire.
Yeah, campfire.
Gotcha. Excellent. So yeah, on your first watch here, Taryn, you are going to hear kind of some louder footsteps off in the distance, probably within a few 100 feet or a few hundred. I mean, for what it's worth, a few 100 meters works as well. Um, what are you going to do when you first hear these sounds of what is effectively a very large creature?
Well, first I'm gonna see. Does it seem like it's getting louder, like closer?
If you spend the time to continue to listen for it, it is progressively getting closer and closer. Let me get a. You can roll another perception check if you would like, or you can gain a little bit of like different information if you want to roll a insight or an investigation. But you can choose of those three, and that'll kind of tell me how to give you different information here. So as you spend the time listening to this thing to try to figure out if it's coming closer to you, you basically take the time to, you know, kind of like move like a little bit closer to that area, but still prevent yourself from like exiting the actual like light of your fire, but kind of keep it to your back so you start to gain a little bit of the actual like the vision of night instead of like kind of blinding yourself with the light of the fire. And you take the time to listen. And while, yes, these footsteps are getting closer and closer to you, they're also maybe more of something that is wandering than something that has intent, at least for now.
Then for now, I'm just gonna go back camp and just basically keep an ear out for it. See if it's getting too close, but
What do
otherwise,
you think is what do you think is too close if it continues to seem to be wandering in this direction?
so let's see. We're like 100 feet in. That's 30 meters. If I can hear like something big splashing water, basically. If it's like, oh wait, I didn't specify which direction it was coming from.
It's coming from the south.
South. Okay. Yeah. Then how would I actually know that from how far? Loud footstep. It seems to be something big at least. It doesn't seem intent to harm. It's yeah. It could just be a really big dinosaur walking through our camp.
Yeah, by now you have the sense that this is probably a dinosaur that either doesn't know about you or is an herbivore and is not paying attention to you. At present, you can probably size it as one of the like medium or large creatures at a little further of a distance. Medium or large like dinosaurs though.
Okay, so not medium or large size, but like our characters or something, but medium sized or large sized dinosaur. Okay.
Yeah, like at present, you'd probably have the idea that um, it's maybe like 5 to like 40 tons. The heavier it is, the further away it would be.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna. Well, let's say that if I can start seeing signs of anything large moving towards us, that's when I'm gonna act instead of just hearing it. Like if I can see trees swaying or moving out of the way or things like that.
Gotcha. Roll another perception check for me. So for a while, it's going to feel like the actual sounds are getting further away as they get a little bit harder to hear. But you are actually going to get surprised after a few more minutes, probably about like 20 or so minutes, you're actually going to see a small head about the size almost of kind of like a human torso, just kind of like pops out of the forest, about at your height above the ground. And this like lizard like head is just kind of like looking towards the light and is kind of like glancing over all of you. And it seems to be looking at you, but is otherwise just kind of like standing right at the edge of the light.
Was it like looking right at me, or more like it's looking at all of us?
It's more or less like kind of looking over this area of the light. I think for what it's worth, it certainly can recognize the difference between you being conscious and everybody else being asleep, kind of thing. Um, like it doesn't, it's not unaware of your consciousness. Whether this creature really has too much intelligence, you could certainly do a roll if you were trying to figure that out. But for what it's worth, is your initial perception of what's going on, you're just going to see this reptilian head kind of like pierce through the forest. Definitely, again, it is surprising you how quiet it was for a few moments, like for those like 20 or so minutes where you're like, good, it's moving away from us. And then all of a sudden, like there is this head like piercing through the forest, and it is inside of your camp. And again, this is a head that's like human torso size kind of thing. It's still massive for you.
Right. Fuck. Terran is should have a backward close eye. I'm just gonna pull out a torch and light it and basically hold it up and basically make myself as big as possible while having something like the light to keep it focused on.
So I think you're going to see the head kind of just move backwards a little bit, but still most of the head is still kind of inside of the light and visible to you. You hear a good bit of brush kind of being like rustled out about behind this creature, but otherwise it doesn't seem to be reacting a whole lot. More or less either way, it seems to just kind of be passively observing you.
Oh, that's fine. As long as it's just passively observing. I'm not gonna do too much then. I'll keep an eye out for see if it appears again.
So after about like 5 or 10 minutes of kind of like this like odd little stare down between the two of you just see is like it's still kind of like looking at you, and it just like looks off to the side and bites down on some leaves, and it's just going to start chewing these leaves, just still more or less kind of like staring at you. And then after about like 20 minutes of this, it kind of keeps like biting down on some other leaves, and then eventually you're going to see is like 30 minutes go by, the creature's just going to kind of like walk beyond, and you hear these like heavy footsteps kind of like crossing by your camp as it seems to be kind of like moving north. Um, Let me get another perception check from you. So as like the second hour of your watch goes by, you're pretty sure the creature spent probably about like 20 or 30 minutes, still like kind of on like the north side of your camp, maybe just beyond the actual light of the fire itself, pretty much doing the same thing where it's like staring at you and eating different vegetation. But you also feel over kind of like the last like 20 minutes or a half hour of your watch, that the creature moved further and further on. But by the time it's time to wake up somebody else, you have that feeling that while this creature is still close, it probably has moved past your camp and is probably not going to come back. you don't have any interest in kind of like attempting to interact with it during that hour, who was going to take the second watch?
That was going to be Jarek.
All right then. If my watch is done, I'm gonna wake up Yarrick.
Gotcha. So when you are good to go, let me get a perception from you. So perhaps taking it as like a little bit too much confidence, that this creature has moved around and there's probably not like increased threats, or perhaps it's relying on your newfound voice in your head. Jarek takes it pretty easy, has a pretty lackluster watch. It's occasional rain. In the long run, you can hear the rain and it's calming, but it's not necessarily the type of thing where at any given point it's raining hard enough that you have to take any more cover uh, than kind of like this generic ability to just be vaguely aware of your surroundings. Um, but as you push forward in this evening, let me get another perception from you. So as your night progresses forward here, things are going to be rather quiet for this second half of your night. And you're getting pretty casual and starting to feel it's nearing time for you to actually set in and go to bed. And you keep kind of like looking up for signs of the moon above to see if it's a good time for you to actually go and theoretically grab Island. But for what it's worth, at some point you are going to hear as the sword calls for you at arms, and I need you to roll for initiative, Jack. So I believe it's part of that weapon. You cannot be surprised.
As long as I'm not incapacitated
Incapacitated.
by.
Yeah. So I guess really this creature doesn't actually benefit from surprise. But yeah, you are going to kind of hear this call, and as you reach out for your sword, I guess I do have advantage because you don't see it coming. Um, a 15 to hit you. I think that is your AC at present.
Yep.
So you are going to feel as your bones start to crunch down on you. You are going to take 18 points of bludgeoning damage. You are grappled and restrained. What would you like to do?
So I'm going to shout for the others. Island Terran, wake up! And um, doing that, I'm going to try to um, I'm going to try and strike out at this thing, with awkwardly as it's like wrapping around me.
Gotcha. Attacks are at disadvantage while you are restrained, but you can make those attacks. First strike, you're just going to kind of glance off of its flesh. Doesn't seem to kind of grab into it. With your second strike, you are going to kind of cut into the flesh itself, dealing 6 damage.
And yeah, doing that and shouting for the others to try to hopefully wake them up. I'm going to try and move back towards the others, back towards like the
You
fire.
have no movement. You are
Oh,
grappled as
sorry.
well.
That's right. Yeah, forgot. Never mind. Yep, that's it. And sorry, it was 18 damage, right?
Yeah, 14 plus 4, 18.
Okay.
Let me get a perception check from the two of you, from Island and from Taryn.
Island is a sound sleeper.
All
I
right,
got
so
wrecked.
let's go for divide those by 5. That'll be. I feel like it's opposite though. Divide them by 5, then subtract 4 will give the opposite. But I feel like Taryn can roll initiative the first turn, and I think that'll put Island in initiative on the third turn. Right, 16 to 20 would be first. 11 to 15 would be second. Yeah. Um, so effectively, your call will wake up Taryn here. But Taryn, you can both roll initiative here. But if nobody does anything else to get Island in the fight, you're basically going to see that he's not kind of reacting at present. But the two of you can roll initiative for me, please. So, Taryn, you are going to be shouted to, like, into consciousness. You hear Jarek calling for help. I think it's pretty much going to be like your free action to basically notice that he is being wrapped up. Half your movement to stand up, but you are close enough that you could cover the distance to him and see that there is a giant creature wrapped around his body and wrapping tighter and tighter onto him, where you see less and less of Jarek as this creature seems to be constricting around him. What would Taryn like to do?
Well, if I've gotten up and gotten there, I'm gonna summon my daggers and I'll try to attack whatever's constricting Jarek.
Gotcha. So you can make, at this point, is effectively one attack. It feels comical that a restrained creature can help with sneak attack. But that is a solid hit, and you can apply. Was it 12 is the normal damage and 6 is the sneak attack there? 18 damage. And then that is going to go to the snake. It is going to bite out. Let's check. It's going to bite out at Terran. And oh no, it's got advantage on Jarek. There's no reason for it. My bad. I should not have rolled like that. But the 15 still hits, and this bite is going to do 11 piercing damage to you, Jarek. And then it is going to go to Jarek.
Okay, so Jarek kind of gasping and looking with bloody death as the creature bites into him, is going to attempt to, and he's claustrophobic, so he's like almost starting to hyperventilate, but he's like, gotta get out of here. So he's going to, kind of feeling inspired, knowing he doesn't want to end up like this, he's going to try and break free of the grapple.
Gotcha.
If he
You can make
can.
a strength athletics here. Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and use my I'm going to use 5 inspiration.
Excellent. 5 inspiration burned. As you try to strength your way out of here, panicking under the course of this impending doom, you are able to break yourself free.
Okay. And that's my action. I'm gonna bonus second wind, and that'll be my turn.
Gotcha. So that's going to take us back around to Terran.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep on attacking. Let's see. But this time I can attack 2 times. Woo!
First strike will hit. Second strike will hit as well. So what is it? The first one is going to go for 20. And the second one is for 4 more. For a total of 24. The creature will be looking bloodied as you kind of slash into it while Jarek is fighting his way free. Um, and I think with that, it is actually going to try to slither off and make its escape from you all. So the two of you can make a attack of opportunity if you would like. Otherwise, this creature seems to be fleeing, having lost its prey and found a little bit more resistance than it would like. It is trying to leave this little foray.
Yeah, Jarek is definitely he's freaking out, so he's definitely going to attack it instinctively as it tries to slither off.
Yeah, and the same with Charon is definitely gonna try to end it.
Yeah.
And with that, oh yeah, shit, it is not your turn, so sneak attacks do apply. Yeah, with that, you two are definitely going to end this thing. Um, Probably pretty close to, like, one of you is kind of pinning it into the ground. I assume Jarek's kind of like pinning it into the ground with the actual sword, and Terran's just going to finish off cutting this thing's head off. But you all have a giant constrictor snake, pretty much flayed and prepared for this little campfire that you have at hand. And in about 6 more seconds, Island's going to wake up from that little call to help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it time for breakfast?
Yeah, so Jarek's like breathing heavily. Not he looks a bit better. Got his second win back after he was able to escape from around that thing. But he feels like, I don't know, maybe his ribs are a bit bruised, and he's trying to just regain his composure again. He being restricted by that thing was not a pleasant experience for him, and now he kind of knows what Island was feeling. Um, but maybe it'll make him feel a little bit better to, maybe eat it.
Island might take the time to remind you that you were not underwater that whole time.
Felt bad enough even without being underwater. Seems like you missed the fun this time, Island.
Yeah, I should have seen it. Jarek hugged it out with a snake.
No, it's a big one. I could see it. It's right there. Maybe I'll dry it while I'm on watch. You guys can have breakfast.
Yeah, so depending on how quickly you want to get back to sleep, you all can certainly do some work, basically saving that constrictor snake. But overall, I think you can't do a full hour's work. It certainly gives you plenty of time that you could get some of it on the fire, and like start to like dry it and cook it. But I think the hour limit is kind of the big thing. To maintain your rest, you have to make sure not to do too much work here.
Yeah, I just thought it was maybe my turn to start watch because it was the end of Jarek's turn.
Well, it's the same type of thing, though. Even for you, while you are still on watch, you can't do actual work,
Gotcha.
which is part of what like doing that actually includes. So there's a certain level of you can definitely do some to maintain that creature, but you're definitely not going to solve all of the problems of it. And I think you all are rather aware as well that having fresh kills in this jungle close by is not necessarily a ideal thing either. So with that in mind, while you all are conscious, what kind of thoughts do you have going through your minds here?
Yeah, Jarek is thinking just like, strip it quick, get what you can, and fling the carcass off into the jungle.
Gotcha. So if you want to help with that, you can do a survival from Jarek as well as Island.
I mean, does that sound good to you too, or?
Sure. Throw it back at the river edge.
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
So I would say pretty easy like skinning process here. You guys get a good go at it. Um Quick little like look up on something like this says they're about 60 pounds, about 27 kilos. I don't see any reason why, with two people doing a really good job cleaning it, you guys can't get. Another one says 45 kilos or 100 pounds. Um, I'd say it would be pretty legitimate to say that you guys have about 50 or so pounds of meat that you can basically put over the fire and kind of throw the skin off towards the water's edge to try to get rid of it. I didn't even think about that. It says the giant constrictor snake can be 140 feet long, 10 times the
Jesus.
length of an actual boa constrictor. That seems kind of absurd. I feel like that's going a little bit too far, but that's like from D&D Beyond. That would
Yep.
put it at like a 600 pound to 1,000 pound snake.
With how many hit points?
Um, each of those were right about 60 points. Hit points is such a weird thing because it's hit points are much more the ability to not like almost pass out to a wound. It's almost like the ability to ignore wounds than it is like what keeps you alive.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. 140 feet, 60 hit points. Seems low, but I guess you can chop it in little pieces, so there's some logic to it.
Yeah, I feel like 10 times a boa constrictor might be a little bit much. I feel like 4 to 5 times would be what I would consider maybe a giant creature, but that would still put it at like what, like 240 kilos to like 500 pounds or so as like an average one. I feel like that makes a lot more sense, like saying 5 times instead of 10. But let's go ahead with assuming you guys can kind of get 50 pounds or so of meat from it. Island can start to dry it on his shift here. Um,
Yeah, I can add 15 pounds to mine if we want to break it up.
so I would say the rest of the evening is going to go without any interruptions. And you guys can take the long rest here, and we will pick up with the actual morning. I just rolled for giant wasps, and I just don't feel like they fit into what's been going on. Without just making one of you suffer for like throwing away the carcass, like, oh yeah, you walked away from camp and you fell your foot into an underground wasp nest, and you're pretty much fucked. I don't know. I don't feel like that kind of fits into what's going on here.
Yeah, Jarek is starting to wonder. So we took that flying snake essentially captive, and now we've been attacked twice by giant constrictor snakes.
Oh yeah, do you all feed the snake and all tonight? Who technically had that? Would you have done anything with it on your watch?
Um, I think Jarek is carrying it. Probably not on his watch initially, but maybe after we killed the giant constrictor snake, feeling a little bad about turning the snake into a cannibal, but different species of snake, right? So he would maybe take some of the snake meat and try and drop
If
it
you
into
would
the
like, you
pack.
could roll. If you would like, you can roll an intelligence. If it's better, you can roll an animal handling, but you can roll an intelligence check.
They're both bad. Animal handling is less bad than straight intelligence.
I think that's enough. Snakes pretty regularly eat other snakes. One of my favorite snakes around here in Myrtle Beach is a black snake, and they will straight up consume an entire copperhead.
Okay, yeah, I don't know too much about snakes, so
People who kill black snakes piss me off because of that fact. Like, any given time you see like that copper tail hanging out of a black snake, you're like, yeah, one for team, good team. But yeah, like if you take the time, you could. I think you guys are basically saying Island probably has the better animal handling ability. If you want to bring it up to Island to try to have Island um, give this creature a little bit of the raw snake, I feel like that would be the type of thing. If it's crossing your mind, you can feed the flying snake at that point.
Yeah, no, I'll feed the flying snake. Ooh.
So I think as you go to like open the bag, you're just going to find out that the flying snake indeed is pretty hostile at this point, and it doesn't seem to be in any calm sort of state. Perhaps it kind of got like ruffled up when Jarek got attacked and kind of got beat up by the snake kind of clenching around him, just being too close to that little foray. But I feel like that's kind of Island going up to this bag, and it's like, maybe I'll pass on this for tonight, and perhaps we'll try some of the dried meat tomorrow.
Yeah, that seems right. That's a lot of ones I've been rolling. That's 3 ones in a row.
The other option with the one is to make you do a dexterity to try to keep the thing in there. But I like the idea that you can actually like figure out like maybe now is not the time to try to be nice to this creature.
yeah, you go to try to start opening the bag and just hear like this loud hissing. It's like, nope, close it back up.
Yeah, we'll let that. That's Jarek's pet. It's fine.
So we can pick up with that next morning when you all kind of get to and have a little bit more travel ahead of us. Kind of like the idea of saying that's kind of like the typical day that you guys are experiencing with on your trail to Kir Sabal, and more or less kind of moving um, in kind of the way that we did with when it was just Jarek and Taryn, where I described some of the encounters and we kind of recognize that they're not necessarily that difficult for you to meet and accomplish and move beyond than necessarily fight them out. but like among like the next few days of travel, you guys are going to cross paths with like a large kind of like pod of crocodile that are just kind of like floating around the banks and around kind of the more shallow areas of the River Orlung, kind of giving you a little bit more of a sense that perhaps a single constricting snake might have been the easiest and least hostile of crossing points. And perhaps that Brontosaurus gave us a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. At very least, they also are not the giant crocodile that can certainly swallow you in a single bite. Um, and kind of things like that, where you have some smaller of these reptiles, um, crossing paths with a few more dinosaurs. Pteranodon. I feel like that's the one with the giant bony structure. That's almost like a sail across its back. Oh, nope. The pteranodons are actually the things that the Terra folk kind of resemble. So these are giant flying things that don't necessarily seem to have like signs of being like cultured. Like they don't actually have any weapons on them or any kind of clothing to them. Just kind of flying overhead. More or less, that attack would be the type of thing where they kind of start to like swoop down and actually attack at you all. And pretty quickly recognize that like once you put up a fight, these things stop actually swooping down towards you, um, and pretty quickly turn away. But they kind of like flock against you all at some point there. Um, and then you will cross paths with a signs of a dead explorer. When you guys see this, what kind of thoughts would go through your head as at some point along this river you're just going to see this corpse kind of like washed up along the side of the river?
Oh, I definitely want to investigate it. Maybe it speaks to it.
Kind of lost you a little bit there. Investigate it and like speak.
Investigate it and maybe speak to dead after we see what if that's a good idea. What about you guys?
Yeah, probably check it out just to see one if if it is recently dead or it's been there for a long time, or and if it's maybe even an undead corpse.
Gotcha. Let me get a perception check from you there, Island. Alrighty, so you're going to spot signs. This is a pretty fresh corpse. It is a human. It seems to be dragged up against the kind of like edge of this river's bank. And when you get close to it, righty. When you get close to it, you all are going to hear this pretty loud shrieking like roar from the southeast of you all. Let me get a perception check from everyone. Island, like you kind of like make that step towards it and hear this roar from the side, and as you look off to the southeast, you're going to see this ape-like creature that like basically has just like leapt out of the forest pretty much in front of where you all are going, and it's like slamming its front arms into the ground, effectively, if you imagine an ape slamming its arms into the ground. But then you are going to notice that it has another set of arms that are above that, that are actually like kind of like clenched into fists, and it's slamming those into its chest. And it is more or less um, think at present you guys are getting that feel of this thing is protecting its possession. What are you guys doing?
I'm going to stop, put my hands up, and bow my head a little bit, and sort of try to do a calming motion and take a step back.
Is everybody kind of following suit with Island there?
Jarek's first thought is actually to kind of go the opposite direction and try to essentially like take a step forward and like, kind of like try to make himself look bigger and like returning the almost like doing the same thing, like beating his own chest, like thinking maybe it's some sort of like show or some not a like a show of um
Intimidation.
yeah, he's trying to essentially intimidate it right back.
Gotcha. You can throw an intimidation check up there. And what's Taryn thinking?
Terran is more along Jarek's way, but he's actually gonna summon his daggers. Because that is a big ape with
Gotcha.
many
They're
arms.
not moving away, but you're prepared to battle, basically, is like your initial thought there.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see. Let's take a short little break here. I'm gonna put this one actually on a map.
You guys didn't like my backing off from his meal plan?
I want to, maybe this, probably this explorer might be, maybe there's something interesting on his corpse. So
I totally think so too. I'm interested in that. I just thought we could calm him down. It might be easier to kill him.
I'm thinking too, like if we can, so essentially Jarek is saying like if we can scare him off, if not, and like we fall into battle, maybe if we are forced to retreat, if it is just being territorial, then maybe we, if we have to, we can retreat, but at least maybe try and essentially stand our ground at first. But I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Cool, me too.
All right then. Hello again.
It's midnight where you are, Chris.
Yep. That it is.
And Chris, you don't care about American football, right? It's a Super Bowl today.
I mean, I know absolutely yak shit about American football more than you play it with your hands and not your foot.
Yeah, we do it wrong. Are you? I mean, I care about the Swedish national team because you guys are great. Care about soccer, football?
You can call it soccer. I know what you mean. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really follow football all that much. I'm more interested in handball because I used to play that myself. But
Yeah, that's a European game. That's like a mystery to me. Big there, though, right?
yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, football is still the biggest. That and ice hockey. And
Yeah.
then
How are y'all doing in the Olympics for ice hockey?
we went pretty well. I mean, I remember. I think we lost to Canada in the women's ice hockey recently.
America beat Canada in men's hockey the other 2 nights ago. Big deal. Friday night. Very big deal. I don't really pay attention to it enough to know for sure, but I guess it's still the group stage, huh?
I've actually been bad because I haven't been checking the Winter Olympics. So I know. Shit, if it, was it the men's or the ladies that got? I think they just got bronze or silver. So I think it was silver.
I'm back.
Yeah, we're just talking about how little we know about what's going on at the Olympics.
I followed a little bit of like skiing and snowboarding, but I can't say I've actually like really even watched any medals go out. Like watching Shaun White's final run was one of the things that I picked up on, but
So far, all I've really been seeing is all the controversies. Like, I think there was like a bunch of stuff with like the speed skating about like disqualifications and stuff, and then like on the there was like five, I think, ski jumpers got disqualified because their uniforms or something. But
yeah,
I
they
haven't
were
really
like
been following.
calling
Yeah,
them
I haven't
out
really
like they
been.
were wearing squirrel suits.
Yeah, I haven't really been following too much of the other stuff. I did see the men's hockey team, the U.S. team, beat Canada for like the first time in a.
Yeah, that was a big game the other night. But we're in the same group. That's just starting hockey. So the gold medal matches until the 20th. Is that next Sunday
Okay,
at 11:10 p.m. Eastern?
and I pretty much completely forgot it was Super Bowl Sunday. So
Yeah, I'm paying attention because Snoop Dogg halftime
Is he
show.
the halftime?
He's in the halftime show. It's a bunch of cool people in the halftime show.
I don't know if I have a way to stream the Super Bowl like live.
It's just on channel
I don't
NBC.
even have a TV. Everything that I like, me watching TV is watching stuff that I can stream from a computer.
What about Peacock? It should be on Peacock, I think.
Oh, right. That's like the actual channel is, what is that, NBC?
Yeah. It's Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, and Mary J.
All right, that sounds kind of amazing.
Right? I work with the guy that does who's the stage manager of this show. It's insane. It's like such a preposterous undertaking, but I find the show entertaining.
When you all are good, oh, did I drag you across to it? Yes. Can you all roll initiative? And if you feel like that isn't properly where you might be at present, you can basically see where I put the. Actually, that's probably a pretty tiny version of the river for what it's worth at this point. But we're going for that's the general gist of what's going on here. But that's the body. I've got Island kind of backed away a little bit. This creature is on like the southeast of you all here. And like Jarek moved forward a little bit, and Terran is kind of holding his ground. Maybe even have Jarek a little bit more to the south, but that's kind of what I was thinking.
Is that the
yeah, I was
body or
thinking
is that
like I
the
would.
gorilla? Sorry.
What was your question there, Island?
Is that the body or is that the gorilla, the token that's on the
Yeah,
edge?
that's just the body right next to you guys.
Okay, got it. Sorry, Jared.
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say like I don't know, depending where the creature was, if I had like stepped forward, I would be a little bit, yeah, kind of like a little in front of, yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
That's a big gorilla.
A big, what, four-armed gorilla?
Yeah, forearm.
I feel like technically it's 6 arms because all their arms are the same.
Yeah, I mean, their feet are basically arms, so I mean,
Oh, so like six-limbed. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. It's kind of like a weird thing to imagine, but it's doing like both of the gorilla things where it's like stamping the ground with 4 limbs and it's also beating its chest with 2 more.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
it's a multitasking gorilla.
Definitely a very interesting creature. So yeah, as you kind of push up to kind of like intimidate back, this thing is actually going to very quickly um, leap the rest of the way out of the forest, and it is going to close that ground into you, Jarek. I think it would actually put itself between you and its body. And it is about to say hello in the only way it knows how, with a bite and 4 slashes from its claws. So the bite here, with a 18 should hit, and that's going to do 10 slashing, 10 piercing damage, and then 4 claw attacks. 2 of those should hit, doing another 9 and 8, so another 17 slashing to you. And then it will be on you, Jarek, to respond in kind.
Yeah, so Jarek, very quickly realizing his intimidation tactic did not work, is kind of drawing a sword, I think, as it's leaping out and attacking him, and going to, again, call forth the kukri and just respond in kind, slashing at it twice.
So, solid hit with the first one. The second one is going to just kind of get caught up in like the tuft of hair, kind of deflected away from it.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and accent surge on this thing. Keep slashing as I
So that third slash will hit, as will the fourth, and that'll put you at a total of 22.
yeah, I'm gonna make that last one a distracting strike. And I'm gonna stand my ground, so that will be actually given how much damage it dealt me. I'm just gonna second wind with my bonus.
And that will take us to Taryn.
Yeah, and I will move into just flank it a little bit and then swing at it.
So the first attack has advantage, which also guarantees that sneak attack. So that one's going to hit for 8, 22 more. The second attack will hit for 5 more for a total of 27.
Woo!
And that's going to put that creature in the bloodied condition. Island, what would you like to do?
Alan's gonna mutter a prayer and cast guiding bolt.
Solid hit into it, and the creature is going to fall dead to the ground.
Well, I was actually scared for a bit. Thing. It's very intimidating.
I feel like this isn't necessarily the ground of the sword, but Jarek, you're going to hear it's not over yet. And another creature is going to. This is again kind of past your turn there, Jarek. So you're gonna hear it's not over yet. Do you have any thoughts as to what you would do here? Yeah, I feel like it's worth saying it like that. Do you have anything? Would you like to ready in action?
Yeah, he's just gonna say like brace yourselves, kind of as he hears the sword to the others, trying to warn them, and he's just going to, if he can, ready an attack if something closes within reach of him.
Gotcha. Yeah, so one is going to kind of like you'll hear like the rustle of the trees to the south of you. Another of these creatures is going to leap out and already essentially be on top of Terran, as the exact same barrage of arms and teeth are going to flail out at your little friend. The first bite attack should hit with an 8 or with a 20, and it's that was supposed to be 1d6. But, right, 1d6, yeah. So for 5 piercing damage, and then there are going to be 4 arms that are kind of trying to flay you. 2 of those should hit, and this one will be actually 2d6. So it's going to be for 8 slashing and then 9 slashing, or what is that, 17, 22 total damage.
Ouch.
And then it's going to be on you, Taryn, to respond.
I am gonna bonus action disengage. I can, but yeah, let's see this. The bonus action disengage and move back.
Did you want to attack first?
I could have done that, yes.
So
Yeah,
you can go.
it's your turn.
You can go for the attack. The other option is, I guess, you can bonus action disengage, and then hold your action for when it closes in. You can be reasonably sure that it would. But was that what you were thinking?
Actually, I was thinking bonus action disengage and then throwing one of the daggers.
Yeah, I don't think that changes it at all. So you are most welcome to do that as well. I think your throw and your attack are effectively the exact same attack at that range. With that, it's just going to like almost get lost in the hair, and you're going to see it fall to the ground. See, I think that's where the difference is if you attack and then disengage, you still have the knife in your hand.
Yeah, but I'm banking on my bonus action to just summon it, so means I
Gotcha.
lose one attack, but yeah.
So it will go to Island from there. Obviously, you are welcome to take any more movement if you would like to, but otherwise, we are moving to Island.
Okay. Just give me a second. I think I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt again.
Solid hit from it. It will do 18 damage, and Jarek, you will have advantage on your next attack if you move into attack it.
Yeah, so Jarek is going to charge forwards towards it, drawing out his short sword, secondary weapon as he does so, and slashing into this thing again. First with the kukri.
That will hit for 10 more. You have advantage is enough to apply sneak attack, right?
Yeah, it's if you have advantage or if there's you don't
Yeah.
have disadvantage and there's the second person there. Yeah.
The second attack is going to sink in as well for another 5.
All right. Then with a bonus, just with attacking with the regular short sword.
Which will hit as well, dealing another 9. That's going to put it into the bloodied condition.
Yeah, and Jarek's just gonna hold his ground there. Maybe like shout towards like Island, watch your back in case there's more, and that's it.
So it is going to move forward and bite out at Terran. 16 hits, and it's going to do 9 piercing to you. And then it is going to do 2 arms at each of you. So, first 2 arms at Terran. One of them will hit for 5 more slashing damage, and then 2 arms at Jarek. I believe neither of those will hit with a 12 at the highest. And it's going to go to Terran.
Well, looking worse for wear, Terran is gonna. Well, just start off, summon his thrown dagger back to his hand, and then attack the giant gorilla.
That will hit with a total of 14 damage. It's going to leave it fatally wounded. And I believe that's your turn, so it should go to Island.
Alan's gonna cast Guiding Bolt on it again. Actually, Alan's gonna cast a cantrip. And a well, so what I'm gonna do is cast a cantrip. Toll the Dead.
I don't even think your DC matters with that roll. It's going to have no effect on it. Any bonus action from you, otherwise it will go to Jarek.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna bonus action cast Healing Word. Terran.
Gotcha. And what would you like to do, Jarek?
All right, so Jarek is gonna go looking towards Terrence. He's been, pretty beat up. He's like, hang in there, Terran. Trying to rally him. Oh, yeah, ignore that. That shouldn't be a D20. I don't know. Should be a D8. I don't know. It's
So that's 9 temporary hit points, right?
yes. And then he's just going to, with his main action, slashing out of this thing twice. Trying to hope to finish it off.
First attack is going to just miss as you glance off of the tuft of its hair. The second one is going to sink in. Let's see that. It really doesn't matter, but you definitely still get your sneak attack. But you are going to be able to finish off this creature as it will go unconscious. Larry, I'm not sure if I started using the difference of bloodied and then mortally wounded when you were still here, but it is a distinguishing difference between a percentage and the mortal wound is those are the last 10 hit points a creature has.
Okay.
So when you get something to a mortally wounded, like when he rolls 11 damage, if I've told you it's mortally wounded, that is 100% going to kill all the time because there is only 10 hit points left. It is part of why I wonder if you knew it because you did switch to the cantrip, which I think was a good move instead of using a spell slot.
I assumed that. I mean, I know Bloodied is 50%, so I assumed Mortally Wounded was 25%. It's better at
Yeah,
10
I
hit
was trying
points.
to move
That's
away
great.
from the 25% marker and get more to a like this is where you can tell this thing is ready to die.
One more shot.
Something that even gets to mortally wounded probably is not the type of thing that will ever flee from a battle, like it's death or glory kind of thing. But it's meant to kind of give you that like little bit of a difference between like half and 25% can mean so much. But when they're mortally wounded, this is something that's like it's that last ditch effort.
Cool. I was just more worried about Terran. I thought you were getting close to being out of hit points.
Tarek, actually has a pretty solid hit point pool. Realistically, actually, Island, you are the most vulnerable of that group. Obviously, you're not in the front nearly as much, but still.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a good point of not being in the front for that reason. I want to go check out this body now, though.
I think the anticlimactic thing is when you guys get a little closer look at this body. I don't think there's anything for you to really find. I made your perception check the roll to see what explorer it is, which I wish I had you do before I explained it, because it effectively says a fresh human corpse stuffed into a hollow tree. And then it says in quotations, Goralians plan to return and devour it later.
All right, well, they did return.
And now they won't return anymore.
Should we make some necklaces out of their teeth?
I mean, if we want. I was thinking we could. Don't know if we could make use of their meat for anything.
Roll another d20 for me, Larry Island. And roll a d4. You guys can track a little bit into the forest and find some gear where there is another 2-person tent and 3 healer's kits.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you guys have a solution for what is that, like 6th tent?
Well, I'll take one healing kit if you would take 2, Jarek.
Um,
I'm just going to top up my one almost used one. I don't add any weight.
yeah, I can take the other 2. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we can stuff that other tent like into that tree hollow where the body was, and just you know if it's like something we you know I don't know, maybe you can like mark it on your map that we stashed it there just in case we come back this way and we're able to grab it again. But otherwise, we probably more weight than we can realistically take on. We probably don't need another tent right now.
I think we're pretty much have the tents that we need. And Eden, if you need more healing kits, I actually carry 1 too, in case of emergencies.
The like slightly unnoticed surprise from your encounter with the hag. You guys got all the way back to Port 9 Zaru and you never looked into that little wrapping. But I think what we are going to do is fast forward even faster through, what is it, a total of like 6 more days, putting you all pretty much right at the end of Kithorn. You guys were moving at a normal pace, so it should be 9 days.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think
we'd
we're
done
gonna put
maybe.
you.
Sorry. I think we'd done maybe 4.
Wait, what do you mean 4?
was like we had the one day after we started, and then I think you said like we traveled for a few more days, which I just assumed I guess
Oh
was
yeah,
3
yeah.
or more.
I was going for the idea of like I wasn't going to do that except for the fact that the Explorer actually has it tends to have stuff attached to them. That was part of why I did it with those Goralians, to actually give you all the chance to find some loot there. Because I was thinking they always had it, and then I'm like reading the Explorer, and I'm like, it doesn't actually say anything about what the Explorer has. Um, but yeah, I was about to like fast forward to Kir Sabal anyways. But I think you all were moving at just the normal pace. I think that's what you decided like at the start. So I think that's going to put us at Kir Sabal right around the second of Flame Rule. And I think we are going to end things kind of in these first moments of getting to Kir Sabal. So I think what it's going to be is you all are going to eventually come off on the point where the River Orlung is kind of reaching, I believe it's a bit of like a like swampy kind of plain where the Nsi Wastes are, that kind of like give you that little bit of a sign that you are approaching. Oh, I don't even have it marked on that map. That you are approaching where Kir Sabal is. But Kir Sabal is effectively the northern side of where these, I think it's actually probably sea wastes. But it is a large structure of like temples and buildings that are just placed against this plateau's wall. I thought I had them as a handout. I have it right here. Um, oh, this is meant to be more of a vertical. Maybe I don't have a side view of this one. I thought I had a side view of these temples here. This is more of kind of like a vertical view of it. I might have something I could drop in Discord here. But basically, like if you look at kind of how this temple structure is set up, the southern little rung is like the lowest area, and you can see that this just like a winding path of the old like wooden structure kind of goes between these different buildings as it passes like a few smaller structures, and then starts to kind of zigzag up the cliff face. And you see as this next level is a bunch of smaller little like housing areas, and it kind of continues on like across this that whole thing where it's like the big darked out spot is realistically like um 5 different doorways I think that you could easily spot, where it's the sign of a bunch of different small houses. And then it kind of continues up, and that easternmost structure is actually a very high building that kind of goes up maybe even like 50 or 60 feet onto itself. And you really can't even see where the walkway comes out of it, as that is kind of like what is bridging the gap between what is the highest structures. And let me get a history check from you all. Island can have advantage on this.
Good.
What is that, the 15 from Island there?
Yeah, it would have been a lot of trouble without the advantage.
You guys can basically see on the front of that, like, what is the northernmost of those temples, like in the kind of central area there. That is like a 3-story temple that's probably 60 or 90 feet tall along the cliff face. And the very front face of that, from where you are approaching from the south, has this massive circular drawing on it. And you all are going to be able to recall Island a little bit more so with his archaeology background, kind of recognizes, and this is part of what Eku has shared with you all in the past. But that is effectively the maze sign of Ubtoa. And what it is it is very simply a circular maze, and part of, I hope Chris and Justin remember this, but part of like the idea of what Ubatoa was this sign that life is a maze and it's meant to be solved. So like when you would die, you would share the solution to your life, and that was like the entrance, like fee almost to the afterlife. And it was only the greatest sages who knew the solution to their life's maze while they were still living. And they were the ones who kind of like ascended beyond life, and became a little bit closer to like a demigodhood, in that they were able to foresee their life's path, that they could solve it and give the answer to Uptoa before they actually lived their life. But you guys would recognize that sign pretty quickly from some of your conversations with Eku, and partly being like your actual interest in archaeology with Island as well. And then beyond that, there are two more structures that are a little bit higher than the temple at the top there. A smaller building immediately to its west, that's probably like 2 stories and maybe a story above like the lowest part of the large section, that has the maze on it. And then the furthest western and the highest point, is another 3-story building. But that's kind of the view that you all would approach as you come to the point where you recognize this is Kir Sabal, the location that Neff here has explained to you all. And from the looks of it, you have a long climb ahead of you, and you can spot from the side view, that it's certainly going to be difficult, as there's clear signs that the actual walkway has collapsed with time and neglect.
Yeah, Derek's gonna kind of sigh as we get here. Is like hoping for a bit of an easier way up, but
Well,
Maybe I can levitate and carry a rope.
yeah, if we could levitate, but I'm pretty sure that Nefer is like plenty others that visit this temple or monastery. So don't think they usually use the stairs. They certainly don't seem like they've been very well cared for.
Do we see any of the creatures that Nefer? I don't know what kind of creature he was, but you said he could fly. So
Make a perception check. I would say at present, yeah, I think you'll spot a few of these people who seem to be kind of like wandering about a couple of the lower levels. Um, and in sort of the process of you all kind of looking above, you're going to see signs that they too have already spotted you. But these are mechanically Aarakocra, but they are effectively bird people. They are humanoids that have large, like bird wings. Their faces are very much bird-like, as well as they have actual arms. Yeah, they have arms and wings.